If I had 0 followers, what would I do? I used to be obsessed with videos from people like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone, where interviewers would ask them, what would you do if you had not one single dollar? These are millionaires and billionaires wondering what they would do if they had to start again from 0. And it got me thinking, as someone whose business skill is building online businesses, building audiences, and leveraging them to make money online, what would I do if I had 0 followers in 2023? With the competition you get these days, the increase in work needed to grow at any given platform from 0, how would I do it if I had to start today? I've been in marketing for 13 years, roughly. I started marketing myself when I had my own YouTube channel when I was like 15. And I discovered that Twitter was a thing and started using social media marketing to grow my YouTube channel. And I loved it. So I then started volunteering to do that for small local businesses. And I learned on the ropes when I was about 15, 16 years old. And when I was 21 and I graduated from university, I jumped straight in to marketing. I worked for a recruitment company as a receptionist, and I managed to wrangle them to agree to let me manage their social media and their email marketing. Through uni, I worked in a pub and I did the same. I managed to convince them that for like 2 hours a week, they should just let me mess around on social media and figure out what they should be posting. And every job that I've had, even when it wasn't in marketing, I was doing marketing. So obviously from 13 years ago to now, things look very different. And how I grew then, I definitely wouldn't do if I tried to grow an account from 0 today. So the first thing I would ask is, what platform is your #1 priority? Basically, where do you want to grow? I don't want you to ask this and answer it straight away. You have to understand who your ideal customer is first before you decide what platform you're going to be on. So take a step back. Who do you want to serve? I promise this will come back around to how this will impact social media. Just bear with me. So before you decide where you need to be, you have to know who you're serving, because businessmen in their 40s will be in a completely different place than mums in their 30s. They will hang out online in different places that suit them the most. So understanding who you serve, what their demographics are, what their challenges and their pain points are, will help you figure out where they are and what platform you should prioritize. But once you know that, you've got to take another step back. What do you want? Why do you want an online platform in the first place? If the answer is to get customers, then there's going to be a few different things you're going to need to do than if you want to be an influencer or an online content creator. So what's your goal? What's your goal for your business? What are you trying to do? What would make the effort of marketing worth it? And I can't answer this question for you. You're going to have to figure this one out on its own. But the reason you need to know these backgrounds is because they're what's going to make up a basic knowledge of strategy for you. One of the biggest mistakes I see online business owners make when they're starting from 0 is they turn to Google. They know that they are good at coaching or consulting or whatever it is they do, and they turn to Google to try and figure out how to fill in the blanks of the rest. And when it comes to marketing, Google is filled with great marketers, gurus, and online business people selling courses who are trying to complicate marketing so that they can make lots of money. And even if that's not the case, there are people who are peddling tactics and hacks, things that you can implement in your business in the short term, but may not lead to long-term success. And the reason why I want to harp on about this is because strategy will always come first in the success of your business. And if you don't understand it, if you don't know it, then just putting into place other people's tactics will never give you long-term replicated, reliable success. So if you do need to figure out your strategy and that's where you're starting, I'll pop a link in the description below. We've recently launched a marketing strategy course that's only £98, and I'll give you all the basics to make a plan of action so that you can follow a strategy instead of trying hacks and tactics. But let's get into it. If I was creating a platform starting from 0 right now, what would be the first few things I would set up? Well, once I've developed my strategy and I have that in place, it's getting on the platforms and getting to optimize them as much as possible. So if we're looking at LinkedIn, my #1 thing to do would be setting up a software, something like Walaxy.com, to automate the outreach of connection requests. and specifically matching it to the people who I want to connect with as my ideal customer. I'd use the search feature to look for people who fit the criteria of who I want to work with, and then I would send an automated friend request, connection request through LinkedIn using Galaxy. Now, really important thing here is to make sure that you're authentic with your approach. If I came into this and I was like, hey, my name's Bethan and I'd love to tell you a little bit more about my business, in my initial message, they're going to shut down, probably delete me, and it's never going to work. So remember, this is not a chance to sell. This is a chance to say hello. If you're not sure about what this looks like, think about how you would do this in a real life situation. Approach your connection in the same way. Or if you're straight up not sure, you can't get to the bottom of it, send a blank request. Weirdly enough, the accept rates are usually higher. Or if I was to start up on Instagram, I would spend some time researching the thought leaders, the influencers in my space. If my ideal customer would follow them, I would be all over their comments, spending some time looking for people who have interesting insight that I would like to connect with. I would be going through their followers maybe and looking for people that match my ideal customer. And it would mean I'm kind of building my IG profile with people who match my ideal customer, and I could realistically try and build a relationship with the hopes of it leading somewhere in the future. And if you're following them, they're probably going to click on your profile, and while they're there, they might just follow back. My second thing, once on any platform, I kind of got a base of people who I was following that were similar to my ideal customer, or they were people who my ideal customer would also be interested in, is to actually look at content. That's what social media is all about these days. Pumping out really high quality while high quantity content is what the platforms want you to do. So I'm going to stick to LinkedIn and Instagram because they're typically the two platforms that the people I work with are trying to grow on. For LinkedIn, I would say 3 to 5 posts a week would be an ideal place to begin. So I would spend some time making a social media calendar, making sure that I hit a few of the key features that LinkedIn loves to see. So for one, that's going to be PDF documents. Usually these work kind of like carousels, they're like swipe through, but ultimately they are graphics that are swipe through and quite often give advice or give case studies, or it's kind of like a journey that you can swipe through. You can make them really simply on Canva, you just make it as normal, and when you download, you select PDF. We also make use of polls. They're a great way of getting engagement firstly, they do really, really well on the platform, and it's a good conversation starter. If you've got an ideal customer that you've just connected with, just started to see your content, and they're voting and participating in polls, you absolutely can reach out and kind of start a conversation of like, oh, it's really interesting that you picked that option. What made you think that? And start a conversation and see what comes. And these two features perform probably the best on LinkedIn. I would definitely make sure I hit the other elements as well, but I would prioritize those two. For Instagram, I would actually say posting more frequently is best. Honestly, like 4 to 6 a week, ideally, when you're just getting started, the more the better. I know of some really great creators that are growing super quickly, are doing like 3 reels a day. So what you can realistically commit to while you're looking at the upper end of that number. And again, I'd look for formats that Instagram likes. So reels, all day, every day. I would be looking for opportunities to film, bulk film, pre-film, different reels content. This is short form vertical video and it performs wonderfully on the Instagram algorithm. And if you're starting from zero today, I would say it's almost something that you have to consider. There's never a hard and fast rule in marketing for something that you always have to do, and you can definitely grow without it. But if you want to speed things up and you're looking at how you can grow quickly and efficiently, I'd bite the bullet and go for reels. Next up is carousel posts. Now, carousels seem to go up and down in the algorithm, but they're still performing really well for me and my clients' accounts that I manage. And carousel posts are very similar to LinkedIn that I mentioned. They're multiple images that you can kind of swipe through. This can be either just pictures that you have, or all taken like kind of at the same time. They're similar but different. Or it could be a graphic that is a swipe through. And for both of these platforms, you're going to want to use best practice regardless as well. You're going to want to keep mixing things up between video content, images, even including some links where you can on LinkedIn. For Instagram, you're also going to need to consider stories. Stories are these short form, 24-hour long pictures and videos that stay there for a little while and then disappear. But realistically, they're typically used for kind of behind the scenes of your day and getting your face out there, getting your face familiar to the people following you. Finally, the last thing I would do on platform is make sure that I'm being social. It's social media after all. I talked about doing outreach to make sure that you have people that you can connect with on both platforms. It's time to actually connect with them. Start talking, comment, like, message people you're connected to, message people you're not connected to. Hop into debates and conversations that are going on in comment sections. Be yourself, bring your interesting, smart, and impressive self to your profiles, and people will quickly connect with it. But the next thing you have to think about is realistically, what would you do to make income if you were on follower 0? At the beginning, I asked what your goals were. And for most of you, I'm going to assume that your goal is at least in some way, shape or form to make money through what you're doing. Even if you're at 0 followers, there is ways that you can make money online. I mapped out a plan for you for how to grow, how to get followers, but I have to address the elephant in the room. How are you going to have enough money to survive while you wait for those numbers to increase? And money's not a dirty word. It's important you prioritize getting income in your business while you're still building your profile. If you want your business to survive, you need to have the two working in tandem. So how do you get income with 0 followers? Firstly, reach out to all your friends and family. Let them know about your new venture. Ask them if they know anyone's interested. Get them to be your cheerleaders, spokespeople for you. Or even better, if they're interested themselves. It can feel a little uncomfortable because you're breaking into a business relationship with people who is a personal relationship with, but it can be a really surprising, successful source of leads. I have to say, I still have active clients today, 5.5 years later after doing this when I first started my business. Secondly, make sure your time is spent on sales work as well as content creation. As you're just getting started, I would say around 30 minutes a day, then get focused on who you want to work with. Choose 10 people to prospect from your connections list on LinkedIn or your followers list on Instagram and pay extra attention to them when you're being social. If you're doing all the comments, likes, and messages anyway, just keep a keen eye on those 10 people. Talk to them openly as if you cross paths with them in a networking event. Ask them questions about a business, what they do, and make the focus the conversation, not the end result. But if you approach this with the intent of just getting sales, it probably won't work. You have to turn that, what am I going to get out of this mode off in your brain, and instead focus on just having a great conversation with somebody on the other end. This is a slowly but surely process. You should be working on building up a relationship and rapport with these people rather than just shoehorning in an offer when it's not appropriate. I would actually even say try where it's natural to move that conversation off of social media. Move it on to email or even better, Zoom. If you find that the person that you're talking to isn't active on social media or they definitely aren't interested, update your prospect list, take them off, put someone else in. And I promise the more conversations you have, the more work will come your way. The last thing that you can do to prioritize income while you're still growing your accounts is to look for people who already need your help. Using services like Fiverr, Upwork, even just job sites, to do outreach to people who are looking for things like marketing manager, graphic designer, business support. If you know they need your help, why wouldn't you offer your services? And you can do this in the search bar on social media platforms too. Go on LinkedIn and search for looking for a business consultant, and you'd be surprised what comes up. Just make sure you toggle to posts when you do the search. And honestly, from there, it's a case of keep doing what you're doing. If you're building community, you're outreaching to potential customers, and you're posting great content, your platforms will grow. But this isn't an overnight thing. It's going to take some time to build a platform online and get hundreds of people, even thousands of people wanting to work with you. So be patient, be realistic, and stick to your goals. If your goals are just to keep yourself booked out, maybe you don't need to focus on the thousands of followers. Maybe the 10 people that you're prospecting are your number one priority, and keeping them informed with great content is all you need to worry about. So that's what I would do if I had 0 followers. What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, I have a full series about how to grow your online business that you can follow. So if you're in this position where you're just getting started, that's going to be one to watch. I'll pop it on the screen for you so you can go and have a look.